preview when you hosted the state.
Yes.
Which is wherever the state is, you did it a couple of months before, when it's not real busy, that's always.
Did you know that we had a preview this year?
No.
Mm-hmm. It was on the website,
Yeah.
but I only had 2 6A teams.
Right.
I had.
Which was that clean?
Mm-hmm. I had Eddie's team in Carnivore, and I'm not even sure the other.
I've never been in golf before. How do you get in these tournaments? Do you call and ask to be invited or something, or?
So, are you think you're gonna have like
besides
one?
my grandson, I want to get the school involved too.
Yeah, what you do is you start finding out where these tournaments are. Then the school has to pay a fee to put that sport in TAPPS.
Right. I'm familiar with that part of
Then
it.
you're in.
But how do I get into the tournament? He said you go maybe 3 tournaments in the district. How do I get into the 3 tournaments?
Well, like they're up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so they know about tournaments.
No, I'm down in Central Texas.
Yeah, so you're in my boat, where you gotta search them out.
Right. See, the North Texas High School Golf Coach Association has 370 members. And we go all the way to Texarkana and all the way to Wichita Falls. We meet twice a year. And once you've paid your dues, you get access to the tournament schedule. And you're responsible to email the coach and say, do you have any spots open? Can I bring a single or that type of thing? It's $40 every 2 years, but that also is your membership in the Texas High School Golf Coaches Association.
Would you give me tournaments down my way?
Well, if anybody down there is hosting those, you could have access to them. They just run a real tight ship up there.
So is there anything else like that that's in the southern part of the state that
I
you
don't
know
have
of?
any idea.
I'm sure there is.
I think there's a Austin San Antonio group.
Yeah.
I think there is too.
So there must be, there has to be one down by you.
Will, is this the first time this ever been done?
It is.
I think this is a tremendous idea.
The
I
what?
think this is a tremendous
Yeah.
idea.
You know, Marshall, so it was intended to be good,
Yeah.
and so,
So it's a course that went under.
yes, it's a course that went under. It used to be called, oh geez, I can't think, but it's called the Kingdom Course. The camp is called Solid Rock. And if you went there and played it, the greens are okay. No, they're not, like the worst greens I probably played are like Utopia. You ever been?
No.
You know what it is?
Yeah, sure.
So those are,
It's a great book, by the way.
it's a great book.
movie.
It's a great book, great movie, and it's fun to be there, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
But those are, they're just brutal. But these are not brutal.
right.
And it's, you know, it's not, you would not drive there to go play this course.
Right.
But,
How long has it been an active camp, Christian camp?
just a few years. So
Does it have lodging?
it does. They can hold 2 and a quarter.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They have a clubhouse, nice clubhouse.
So it's owned by this young couple?
It's owned by some local men,
Oh,
but they hired the young couple to run the camp.
oh,
And the girl is actually working on her doctorate, I think in maybe North Texas, on counseling, and he was on a fast track with Home Depot.
right.
And the two of them together decided that they, not even really, well, they just kind of thought, they both had something to tell each other, and it was that they needed to get in full-time
Yeah.
ministry. And so he left Home Depot, and they're running that camp.
Does the 375 include their lodging?
It does. And food.
Wow,
It's a pretty reasonable deal.
Yeah.
very reasonable.
And we're gonna do golf.
Do they have to have, how would they, I mean, they'll have to have food or stuff too?
They'll have it. They have it.
Everything's taken care of, 375.
So we're gonna do golf in the morning, and we're gonna do golf in the evening, and they can do camp things in the afternoon. They have a big lake there.
How long has this been, I mean, the problem is there's not much time between now and the 25th.
Right.
I probably could have gotten 5 or 6 8th graders or rising ninth graders to go to this.
Yeah,
I wish I'd have known about it.
I know. Well, I didn't know about it until,
And you're teaching it.
I know.
Well, but he just found out
I
about
just
the
found out
training.
about it. see, do you know Wally Armstrong?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I use his book in his grip,
Yeah,
and I can't find any additional copies.
really?
It's out of print.
Well, let's call him. We'll call him.
That'd be great.
Or I'll
I
give you,
I use that book, but I ran out of getting it.
I know
I
it.
couldn't get it.
I'll give you his number. I'll let you call him.
In the book, where, you open up the cover and it shows, the publisher and all that. I've called him before and it says it's out of print. At one time, 6 or 7 years ago, I probably had 50 copies of it.
Really?
And I used it every year with my team. And now I think I've got like 4 copies left.
I've got 2 copies left out of 30 that I bought
Yeah.
a few years ago, because I give it out and we cover it in a Bible study.
It's
talk
great.
about
It's
it.
great.
It's just it's not hard to read.
It's a Bible study book.
Well, no, it's
It's
more of a golf in life and how it relates to the Lord.
Exactly. It's fantastic.
And so he has, one book's called In His Grip, another one's called Finishing the Course.
Yeah.
Another book
Who
is
is
called
it that does it?
Wally Armstrong.
And I forget the other guy's name.
And
It's a joint effort.
Jim Shear.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, you said you can't get any more copies of it?
It's my understanding that it's out of print.
Okay, maybe you need to call him right now.
I'll call him.
Okay.
So
There's a bunch of golf coaches that need books.
he has another book, The Mulligan, that may become a movie.
I'm not familiar with that.
That's cool.
Yeah, The Mulligan.
Hey, Marsh, we need to catch up on these other 2 books.
I know. Well, I was familiar with the other one, but the one I've always used is In His Grip.
Now,
It's
what
a-
did
it's
you
a
say
great-
one of them was, Bill, in the rough?
No,
Finishing the
Finish-
course.
Finishing the Course.
I've had that one.
And then what's the other one called? The new
The
one?
Mulligan.
that's the new one. I've never heard of that one.
Wally. I'm doing great. I'm at a convention in Waco. It's the Private School Athletic Association. And we've got a session about ministry and golf. And two of the coaches are raving about your book, In His Grip. But they say they can't get any. So no more of the other one.
The other one's out of print. The only way they can get it is if you go on Amazon, take a chance on getting a used one.
You can go on that and find a few of them. It's not enough.
Okay. Well, like Marshall here, Marshall had 50 at one time.
Yeah, look at it. It's a popular book. It's up for copies.
How many?
350,000 copies.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
My mother's.
How do we get the Mulligan?
But, you like that one, you would really like the Mulligan probably, but,
so what's the best way?
if we could get that in as
What's the best way for them to get the Mulligan?
through me,
Okay. Okay.
and I get them to them for, like, $8, $8.50.
That's like giving them away.
Okay.
Ask him if is it kind of the same format with the study lessons?
Not quite. Okay. All right. I will pass. I'll give them your information.
Yeah, tell them we're gonna have like, we're gonna have the St. Stewart Kids Program, this fall is gonna be available.
Which is
It's gonna be perfect for,
that's a teaching thing.
yeah, it's with all the, short golf equipment. And, it'll have the snack clubs, and then it'll also have, they're gonna have all the clubs. It'll be the St. Stewart Kids
Okay.
Club line, and then schools and stuff.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, I'm gonna.
Camp, so, I delivered it. That, camp is gonna be out for them to use for the kids.
Yeah, we've just been talking about the camp right here, so they really like the idea. They just.
Well, I hope you get a full group there.
Well, at the club, I think I will. I think Sam wants to start one. So, okay, all right, I'm gonna run and I'll talk to you.
Just give them my info and I'll get them what they need, you know?
Okay, all right, take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Yeah, here it is right here. It says here you can get the book at Barnes and Noble for $3.50.
Really?
And it says The Mulligan, A Parable of Second Chances.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good book.
Thank you.
But see, like if you go on here, like here, in his grip, there's one available now, for $10 through Amazon.
Okay.
But I went a couple of years, after I went through 50 of them, I went to, and you can find people that have them and they resell them on Amazon.
Mm.
Like one of them I got, I just wanted to see what it looked like. I got it and half the pages had been, half the page had been torn out. and stuff.
Well, you know, those books were so nice.
Yeah.
They would be great for a gift.
Well, about the first 30 or 40 that I had were the hardcover.
Right.
And
Yeah, I
then
had
the
those.
last ones
Yeah.
I had were the
I had
softcover.
all hardcover.
Oh, I didn't even know there was a soft cover.
Mhm.
I only saw the hard.
Yeah.
So Finishing the Course was a hardback.
Yeah.
And then the Mulligan, the first one I got was a hardcover, but it may be paperback now.
Have you read it? Is it good?
I wish I could say I've read it, but I haven't. But that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I mean, is it structured like In His Grip?
No, it's more of a straight book.
More of a straight book.
Yeah, it's not a devotional. So,
Okay, well, you can get 5, there are 5 in his grips available on Amazon right now for $5.95 Prime.
Of In His Grip?
Uh-huh. Well, there's 4, because I just ordered one.
Did you buy them up? Hey, will you be with them
That's
45?
that's funny.
No auction.
So, so let's see, where were we?
Is your phone good, or do you need
It's
to
good,
charge it more?
it's good, thank you, thanks.
You're gonna love the book. It is. See, I probably used it for 6 straight years.
Really?
Yeah, I went through probably.
And you gave them to your players?
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
great.
I went through probably 50 players.
Is Mulligan a golf term?
The first,
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a golf term. The
It's a
first
dual.
year, I used it was.
You duck the
Kramer
first one off
Hickok's
first,
team.
yeah, you get a mulligan.
And he still
Yeah,
has
good
the
one.
book. He came to you know who Kramer is, don't you?
Yeah, was he on one of the teams that came to Wildfire?
Yeah,
He was, wasn't
he was on,
he? And now he's playing.
now he's on the regular tour, yeah. Get a load of this, I had a deal at the school where Kramer and Tucker came, this was for a fundraiser for Student Chasing a golf tournament at Bentry. And so I thought a way to give TCA a little bit of a boost, I asked Tucker Watkins, Lanny's son,
Yeah.
and Kramer if they would come and perform an exhibition. And they said, yeah, the timing just worked out for it. Will couldn't make it. Zalatoris, I wanted 3 of them, but they came, and we had 150 people there on the range at Bentry because it was a shotgun start. So their exhibition started at 11:15, and they put on a great exhibition. And then we had a microphone, so I said, would you mind telling the group here what your experience was like attending Trinity Christian? Kramer reaches down in his golf bag and pulls out his book in his grip. He's got to do this, and he wasn't even prompted to do it.
That's great.
So he's carrying it in his professional golf bag.
I think he still has it?
He still has it, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
That's really neat.
Bill, I used them the first 2 years as the senior gift
Yeah,
at our banquet.
yeah.
You got that when you graduated. But after the first 2 years, then I bought the 30-something and started giving them to the players as we went along. And I ran out of those. Then I got the second. There was another book, maybe not by Wally, but another one that was kind of, which one did Lehman do the inside?
Oh, Lehman, yeah,
Cover.
he's got a good one. I'm trying to think of the name of that one. But the reason it's in his grip is so good is it's got these It's tied, it's kind of like a golf lesson and life lesson combined.
It's
Right.
one and the same.
With a, exactly, with
Yeah, it
a.
is.
The
if you
longer
can-
I play, the better I know Jesus, and the more I play golf, the more I see how it all
But
just.
you can go in like
goes
what we
together.
did for 5 or 6 years. We have a Tuesday, every Tuesday morning at 7. School starts at 8. We have a golf meeting, and so like it's a Bible study lesson. We actually call it TCA life lessons. And you can pick out the ones that are pertinent to whatever you're dealing with that week, like preparation is important, you could really go through an entire year. Our golf season is just like, maybe total 6 months out of the year.
Mhm. That's great that you
I
guys
mean,
do that.
I
You do
love that idea of doing
Tuesdays
a
at-
morning meeting.
Tuesdays at 7.
Mine are
That's great.
Friday at 3 o'clock during
Okay.
the fall because we have football and pep rallies, so I get the team together in the common meeting room every Friday, 3:05 during the fall.
Hmm.
And then when we roll over to the spring, we use Wednesday in the morning. Because they do a morning workout at 6:30, and after they shower and stuff, I get them after.
That's great.
The reason I do it at 7
That's great.
is that, as you know, teenage boys don't like to get up early.
No, they don't.
So it teaches them discipline, and they get punished if they're not there at 7 sharp. Because it only lasts an hour, because the bell rings at an hour. And
Right, yeah.
And what do you use for materials now?
Well, I've used in its grip, but also I use Proverbs. I've found over time, since there's 31 chapters in Proverbs, if you read, for instance, today, Proverbs 12, and you get up tomorrow and you read 13, you can just go all the way to the end of the month. Now, if you have a month that has a short 28 days, you're going to read 29, 30, and 31 on that last day. So that's your long day. So over time, it really teaches wisdom and
Yeah.
also getting down. But also I have some other, bunch of other studies that I've done, things that I've preached during, like you're an ambassador for Christ, and your identity, where your treasure is, your heart is. And I like to use that actual pastor, or was a priest, that took the last picture of the Titanic. Of Captain Smith. It was the most famous picture, except 65 years after his death in the rectory, they found 42,000 pictures he'd taken, and about 1,000 Titanic, because he rode the Titanic for the first stop of the leg, and then his Monsignor told him to get back to the church, get off the Titanic and get back to the church. And
You're kidding.
yeah, and I use that example as that man took the most 2 famous pictures of the Titanic, Captain Smith up in the bridge and the ship sailing out, yet he had over 1,000 other pictures of it, plus another 41,000 pictures. He became so renowned in photography, Kodak furnished his film free. They sent him all the film he could take. But in that basement was a great treasure, and that had to be where his heart was for him to store them all in containers that would keep it. But we got the benefit of his treasures of his heart later on. So that's one of the things. I just do a variety of things since I got out of in his grip availability.
What I've had all those years I had that book, it was perfect, because see, a lot of times, every year, I'll have a few of the same kids.
Right.
And so you want to make sure you have something different from them every year. And so that was the beauty about that book, is you had so many of those life lessons that you could choose from.
Right.
And so now that I don't have that book anymore, because I wanted them to each one of them to have a copy of the book that they could study at night.
Get one copy, it's out of print, you can make copies of it.
Yeah, but it's
Copy your chapters.
it's hard, really. I've tried that. It's hard to take the book and copy it,
Yeah.
because it's not the normal size. It's like this size.
I'll tell you something else Marshall and I got into. I actually got into it because Ben Crane's child went to Liberty in elementary school. And Ben Crane used to do a devotional every week that looked like a yardage book.
Right.
And it was the actual devotion that the PGA players did on Tuesday and Wednesday night.
Have you ever seen those?
No.
See, Larry shared those with me.
I shared them with him, and we started getting that copies until Ben moved to Tennessee and stopped doing it. But it is the most unique
It's like a
yardage.
yardage book that flips over it's about this tall and about this wide.
Huh.
And it flips over, and it's a devotional that the tour uses weekly.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so it
I haven't
has,
seen those.
it has the Monday round, it has the practice round, then it has the pro-am, then it has the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday round in some of them. And most of it was the Thursday through Sunday. What were they gonna study at night? And the players would get those.
Different, and each devotional would be from a different player, like Tom Lehman, Lee
Oh.
Jansen,
But it would-
Jonathan Bird.
Yeah, it would be titled whatever the tour stop was
Right.
that week.
Oh, that's cool.
That's really
You know,
cool.
whether
I just walked 9 holes with him at Colonial. Because, they put a club pro in the pro-am to speed up play.
Yeah, I noticed. they
So I had
did that
Zach
this
for
year.
the front. I had two believers. I had Zach for the front and Ben for the back. But Ben said he's hosted 17.
Now, one year I used, Zach's got a good book,
He does?
and he came in, I'd say about 5 or 6 years ago, Jack Graham at Prestonwood, when Zach Johnson and John Rollins were playing, probably the last time John Rollins had played in Colonial. He had them, and he invited our team over, and Zach gave each one of my players a signed copy of the book.
Really?
I can't remember what it's called, but it's good too. But what week since I've out of that book, what I've used in the last
Since
3
you outed
years, we have, we have 10 pillars of Trojan golf, like attitude, humility, preparation, hard work, and then have an outline with different Bible verses of each one of those. And those because generally we'll have 12 to 16 meetings per golf season. And that's what I've done the last 3 years. But I really missed that book.
Well, I missed the yardage book.
Yeah, I didn't know about the yardage book.
I may have a couple of copies of one particular week that I didn't pass out. So if I can find those in my golf closet, I'll get you one.
Yeah, I might have one too. The other one, I'll share something else to you that you'll find interesting, kind of disturbing to me, is I used to, this goes back 5 or 6 years ago, on the book in its grip, you can actually use it as real study, where they can answer certain questions.
Right.
And so, one year, I basically used it like a class. And so at the meeting, they had to become prepared for that lesson. And it was and then I got a call from a parent and said, this is a little over the top.
Really?
And here's Trinity, it's a Christian school. The reason they said, look, we have no problem with the teaching them that, but they have way too much homework to start with in the first place. We don't need to be adding any more.
Yeah.
I said, okay.
Well, it's not like you couldn't read the chapter of Indy's Grip in about 15 minutes, and
Right.
the outline and like
It would
questions.
have taken maybe 30 minutes of study
Yeah.
at max. And they had to give me their written answers, but we had to end that.
That's interesting.
Now, do you have a lot of complaints from parents about how much homework kids at Liberty have?
Absolutely. Because as golfers, we miss a lot of school.
Right.
And we're on a block schedule now, which means your Monday class this week is not the same Monday class next week.
Really?
So if you miss 2 Mondays in a row, you're like 3 weeks behind because you weren't in the class when the teacher presented, and he's not gonna present that to you next Tuesday, because his Monday moves to Tuesday, then it starts over to Monday to Tuesday. And we went on that this year, and it's been the worst thing
Really?
for us. We had a modified block schedule where we had 8 period one day and 7 periods the other. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, last year and the last 4 years, we got the golfers at 2:20, which was perfect to play on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But I can't get to Robeson Ranch. We have Warrior Word every day in the gym for every athlete. They come there, check the roll, and there's 5 minutes of Warrior Word that's given by a coach, not the same coach. He may be the football, maybe I did it twice this year, but it's to all the athletes. Before they go to their sport, they come in the gym for a 5 minute, they check the roll to make sure none of them are floating around with a sonic head theory. But it really pressed our time because I don't get them until 3:10. By the time I load them and get them out to the golf course, it's 3:25. Well, Argyle High School has got their Flower Mound, Denton High, and Geyer. So they're all there in front of me, so I can't get them out to play because you've got all those foursomes out there playing. They wouldn't get through before supper.
See, he complains that we don't even have an athletic period.
Yeah, we don't either.
That's-
What time do you get your players?
Well, the bell rings at 3:30.
3:30?
And so by the time, and that kills us in the fall before the daylight savings.
Daylight, yeah, kills us.
I mean, we end up with but an hour of sunlight. We
But-
So
basically
you do fall and spring golf?
We do fall.
I
in
do
spring.
too.
Wow.
When you follow, I mean, when you play
Is it
on
year-round?
Mondays,
No, just spring.
what time do you start playing in the afternoon if you go to a tournament somewhere?
No, it's no afternoon. It's
Oh,
shotgun start at 8 a.m.
oh, so they miss all day Monday.
Yeah, they miss all day.
My players miss a ton of school.
Okay, so on that, do any of you ever play like a dual tournament where you just play one other school after school
No,
or, early in the afternoon, so you're not missing
See,
so
that's
much all
what
day school?
when I was in high school in Indiana.
That's how I did it.
That's-
So we
what-
played dual or
Yes.
triangular, right? 3
Yes.
Matches.
matches. So what?
Yeah, and
so we would
we'd
play.
start at like 3 o'clock,
We-
so maybe we'd miss an hour of school,
We
but,
started
How long
like
does it take to
3.
play if you start at 3 o'clock?
We started like 3, and we would play in the spring. We probably teed it up. I'd say like 2 invitationals and all those matches. We probably teed it up about 17 or 18 times.
yeah, because you can do it, because you're not missing all the school.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when I was in high school, for those kinds
That
of
was
things,
Indiana.
we only played 9 holes. We didn't play
So then
18
like-
for all
So we've got
those,
a
because there
golf
wasn't
course right
time.
beside us. Maybe I could just play there instead of going to tournaments to,
Right, I mean, if you can figure that out,
Plus,
because
we're not
I've been trying to
letting
do
us
that,
have
because it is hard for
Yeah,
them to
he
miss so
is.
much.
Yeah,
training.
well, just think about it. You take
He had turned
It's-
15.
you take two
So
two
he's going
boys,
in the 9th grade.
put them together.
And then his
Send him
older
out,
brother's going in
5
10th,
kids.
And then the younger brother is
Yeah.
in
They
math.
should be able to fly around.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize it at the time.
Yeah,
You know. But we'd get out of school
Yeah,
sometimes at
yeah,
1,
yeah, he'll
sometimes
like
at
her. She's
1:30,
good.
2,
Okay.
and we'd be able to finish.
right,
Right. There's a lot of the UIL schools that they're
They're doing
study hall and they're in, like, they get out at 1:30
Right.
in the afternoon and they're straight to the golf course.
yeah.
But it's South Lake, Flower Mound,
Right.
or any of those places. They're out there.
We have an athletic period, so I get my kids at 3 o'clock.
So are you still doing that?
Yes.
But like when my son played at the same school that I coached, this is years ago, they only played a couple of tournaments. They only played in the spring, and they would only play a couple of tournaments, and they'd have a few, 2-school matches. But what we do now, I believe in only playing in 36-hole events. And so we'll play in 5 36-hole events in the fall, and depending on whether we go to state, we'll play in 6 or 7 36 and 1 54-hole event.
Holy
They
cow.
go to like Arizona or whatever, right?
We go to Myrtle Beach.
We go to Arizona, we go to California.
Yeah, no, that's not happening in Providence.
yeah.
Well, but listen, In 1998, when I started, we had 6 players, and we were fortunate that we wound up at the state tournament in 99 and won 99, 2000, 2001. Then all of a sudden, the golf program just went exponential.
Where's your school? Is that Providence where?
Yeah, it's.
Not Dallas, right?
No, it's.
Spring,
Yeah,
what about
Spring,
Houston?
Houston,
Down by
Spring.
Houston.
Northwest
Oh,
Houston. yeah.
You just have to build it. You just have to take your time and build it.
Yeah,
And-
it's not happening in my school.
What
It's
classification?
way too,
What
it's,
classification?
we're 3A, yeah, and academically, yeah, the rigor is,
Well, the academically, our school is really tough. Matter of fact, I've had a lot of kids that have had to leave because they couldn't make it academically.
Really? Hmm.
Yeah, the college prep type deal is,
yeah.
especially if you have AP classes.
Matter of fact, finally, the Board of Trustees approved for this next school year will be the first time they've approved what I'd call a secondary track.
Right, for a student that,
For a student that is a little bit more challenged.
Right.
right,
Like the school's always required, they have a class called History English, kind of a combination.
Right.
And everybody has to take it, it's always been an advanced class. That's the class that destroys some kids, they just can't make it, and so they leave.
Right.
And so a lot of parents of athletes over the years have complained that you gotta tone it down a little bit. And they've finally done that. I don't know whether that will work or not.
Okay, so Bill, do y'all do any duels now, or do you only do?
We actually just did one our last tournament this season,
And did-
actually after state.
Did you do 9 or 18?
We did 18,
18.
yeah, so. it was
I guess it was after daylight saving.
It was with the, actually, well, they started at like noon, it was the local Catholic school that wanted to have he wanted to have a parochial event.
Right.
now I would say that, you know, you were talking about hosting tournaments, Bill, I find it the same thing that Marshall in our school, our class. It is hard to find private school tournaments hosted by the private schools.
Right.
And so way back there, I started, and I think that's why we did well, playing in all UIL. Back then, they didn't have 5A and 6A and 9, it was 4A.
Right.
So we were 3A in TAPPS, and so we went to all 4A tournaments. But back then, UIL didn't want to let a private school in there.
Right.
Because you're a recruiter, you're gonna get some.
Oh,
They
really?
still don't.
I didn't have that issue. When I first started, I figured the only way to get good was to play against the best competition.
That's the same thing.
And so then when I started to try to get into these tournaments, they didn't have that argument. Their argument was, look, we don't want any private school. You're not good enough to compete with us. And I had to beg to get in a couple of tournaments. And then they found out that we could compete.
Right.
And so now they say, you're welcome to come back.
That's exactly what happened to us in '99. On spring break, Trinity High School, who Mr. Garrison was the president of the North Texas Golf Coach Association. I called him, and he's having trouble getting entries in there, and I said, can we come and play? So we went and played, and my number 1 player won the tournament, and we came in 3rd, and after that, he said, y'all can come to anything, and he told all the coaches at the next coaches meeting we go to, if Liberty wants to get in your tournament, welcome them. But before that, I'm full, we're full, no, sorry. You wouldn't come out and say, I don't want a private school.
Yeah.
It's just, and I'm thinking, how can you be full? The tournament just got announced yesterday, you know, and it's way out in, you know, Chico or wherever.
Well, I'll give you, 11 years ago, I was telling Bill earlier, there's this tournament in Texarkana, Arkansas, at Texarkana Country Club, that is without question the best high school tournament in America. Beautiful golf course and run just like a PGA event. And they, at this point in time, they limited the field to 12 teams. And one of the Dallas schools had told me about it. And matter of fact, did you know that Jay Brewer died?
I know,
Of a
I
heart
sent it
attack.
to his wife.
In the So I called and I said, do you have a spot? I told him about our team. He said, no, he's a little private school. You can't compete against these teams. And I said, why don't you just let us give it a try this year? Well, I've got a pretty decent team. This is when I had Kramer and Will as a freshman. I had Kramer, Tucker, and Will.
Wow.
So he said, okay, I'm gonna let you in this year, but if you don't perform very well, because I only take the best teams that they're.
That was Jay Brewer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Jay telling me this. And so we go up there, and that year we won and set.
That's great.
Kramer won the tournament, and we set the team scoring record. And so he said, you can come back anytime you want.
That's awesome. What's it called?
It's called coaches refer to it as just the Classic.
Okay.
The formal name is the Tiger Classic, after Texas High Tigers.
And it's when?
It's always right around Texas OU. It's always like the first or second weekend in October.
Huh.
Yeah.
And they have Highland Park. Like that year, we broke Highland Park scoring rate. They have Highland Park, South Lake Carroll, McKinney Boyd, Kingwood. It's
Does he have any?
we're the only private school that's ever been invited.
And unfortunately, the gentleman at 51 years old,
Just
50,
last Wednesday.
last Wednesday went to the doctor. The doctor said, we're gonna have to do a catheter. We'll do it next Monday. He goes home and he failed to meet his wife for dinner. And she went home and found him. He'd fallen over in the floor and was dead. And this is a guy that their school has a 400-yard driving range. They have an indoor facility. He was he was a PGA teaching pro for like 18 years before he took over coaching it at the high
And
school.
what's his name?
Jay Brewer.
Well, I'm sure, like Bill Rogers knows him, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He was what was his? He was like an All-American player at Central Christian Arkansas or some school like that. And then he became an assistant at Texarkana Country Club with Art Romero.
Okay.
And then he took over the Texarkana, like they just put out an ad did you get that from?
Yeah, I got it from the North Texas Golf Coaches Association, listed in there the job opening for assistant AD with golf.
And middle school too.
And middle school, 7th grade through high school golf with the driving range, indoor facility, all that stuff up there. They just opened that job opportunity 2 days ago.
The coaching?
Yeah, whoever they say has to have all of that responsibility. Like Jay he's full-time there, but he didn't teach a class.
No, it has nothing to do with teaching a class.
Basically runs the whole golf program and the golf facility.
And brings up the little middle schoolers
Right.
from 7th grade all the way up.
No.
And what I found, we don't have a particularly middle school program because there's no middle schools playing golf tournaments.
Right.
Because in the UIL, they won't let them out of class, period. Now, if you're the football team in 8th grade, yeah, we'll take you to Wichita Falls, but the golf, anybody wanting to play golf doesn't. So, it was hard. We've got a number of kids that would love to play golf. So I sent them to the North Texas Junior PGA. Go play, pay the $50, get on their schedule, play their tournaments, you play with the same caliber of players and develop it. But, it's not that I couldn't get some players to play in junior high, but with Jay, with those Texarkana schools, they all have that 7th grade, so he could get them to do
They have their own private driving range, double loaded.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a college would love to have.
Wow.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
we have this middle school program in Temple, Belton, Waco, and the UIL schools play, but they can't start till 3:45.
Right.
They can't start until like
After school.
school.
Now,
And
that's the UIL rule.
they would get real hairy with me because I don't have that, and I don't have that rule. And but when we started golf, we jumped in there. So our kids now, they get to play They get to play 2 years in middle school.
Uh,
And so
Yeah,
we
we
work-
start, we start them in sixth grade.
Yeah,
So, and we could actually even go down to fifth.
so we have Belton, Temple,
Really?
Belton, Temple, Coppers Cove, Midway, Holy Trinity, Slato. So it's
So
a,
they have like a middle school schedule?
yeah, it's actually like a once it gets started, it's like every week, 6 weeks.
That's
9
good.
9 of the longest falls,
Oh, yeah, it's long.
long day.
We played one tournament this summer, or this spring, and it was middle and high school, and they played them all on the same, course. That they had the middle schoolers, played, yeah, they all played 18. They all played 18.
Oh, they all played 18.
It was like 8 hours. It was
That's
ridiculous.
brutal.
But they got there, we're not playing 18. I'm like, yes, I told you we're playing 18. Some of them had never played 18 holes before. It was a long day, but it was good.
It's good.
It was good. They didn't think they could do it, and they
It's
did.
really good.
Well, I can tell you one thing, nothing beats a failure but a try.
Yeah.
So you just gotta start off, if it's one player, and just
Yeah.
work with them and work around the
My middle
things.
schoolers work really hard. They love it. So,
And if you can get the admin with your one golfer to let him go maybe every 3 weeks to some tournament and get him some experience, then that would be exceptional. You know. And it's,
Bill, do you have any ideas on the spiritual side of format to take, since we can't get that book anymore?
Well, when we were talking about that, with Links Players, we have a weekly study guide that you can access.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
So it always has a golf portion to it. So actually what you guys should do is, let me get you. Marshall, I think I have your email.
Yeah, I think you've,
Go ahead.
Did you get this
Maybe-
book,
maybe
Marshall?
so. I got it.
okay, it's got, Bill, it's
Yeah,
got
I
your.
have all Bill's contact information.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll tell you what, let's see. Larry, you guys just give me your email and I'll have it. So what I'll do is
I'm gonna text it to
Do you
you.
get our devotional? Are you getting it?
No,
So I'll,
Bill, I'll send you mine.
okay, yeah, just send me your contact, and you give
you
me
have
yours.
mine, yep.
So I'll sign you up for this devotional. So what we
That'd be
do,
great.
we do a Monday through Friday devotional. I write one a month, and we have other staff people that write them. And then the ones that we don't write, we have our COO, Jeff Hopper, that writes about 60%. He's the one that writes that magazine. He does all those stories. So we do the devotionals, and then we also, Larry, on Fridays, the Friday devotional has a study guide that ties in with it.
Right.
So what you would do is you would either print it out for your kids, or you would send them the link. If you thought you could get them to study it in advance. You
Right.
know, like when I started using it, I would print them out and I would pass them around, and then only the leader would have prepared in advance. Well, then I started going to some of the ones, do you know Randy Wolf?
Sure.
Yeah.
Randy Wolf was the one that brought me into Links. And so his groups up there, like Woody Taines, Gene Aubie, those guys that are in, they have done their lesson when they get there. So I went to this barbecue restaurant in Rockwall, and Don Gaffner came, and these guys show up, 10 or 12 guys, and they've got their lessons done. And so it's about, in a study, you could make the study, you could do the study 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and it's got the questions, it's got the scripture, and it's real easy to prepare for.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So
I'll send you
I may even call you and take you through the website,
okay.
just to show you. So yeah, there's a weekly study guide, and there's also a video
Good.
that you can play.
Well, every tool you can get in your bag
That's right.
Yeah.
is like
So-
having a 58-degree wedge. I haven't got into those 60s, I just make the
58. So yeah, so we have that, and then there's a whole archive of other messages, and then the way that Wally fits in, that I didn't get to mention to you, but Wally was speaking to a group of pastors at that camp about 6 weeks ago. And so I went to see Wally, who then followed me back to Temple. In the process, I met that couple, and that's how I got involved in that camp. But so Wally was at that camp, and we played golf the next day, and you kind of have the whole golf course to yourself at that
Right.
place. And so what happens is Wally and Bill Rogers and guys like that all kind of help us with Links players.
That's wonderful.
You know, kind of like the tour players helping the College Golf Fellowship. It's the,
Yes.
you know, those guys come alongside, and so you know,
Ben kind of went to doing that and doing his devotional each week on the tour. That took a lot of work to put together, and it's in a flipped spiral top, just like the caddy flips open, and it's about the same size. I mean, it looks like a yardage book.
yeah,
It's just,
I'd love to see it. He said the other day that he's hosted 17 of those weekend retreats
yes,
with the kids.
yes, yeah.
So
Well, I tell you, this is a little short notice for this year, but I think next year, for your deal out there in Eastland, I could get a great troop of middle schoolers and maybe some of my 8th and 9th graders that are brand new to come out there and enjoy that
I
program.
could too. I wish I'd have known about it earlier.
I know. But I tell you what, let me tell Robert what you're saying. I'm just going to tell him. I said Larry and Marshall said they've got middle schoolers that would come to this thing, and whether or not we get the TAPPS name, I mean, I'd like to get the TAPPS name on it, but whether or not, it could just be that it's still, I mean, the camp still does it, but TAPPS endorses it.
Right, I love that it's a Christian camp
Yeah.
though, that's.
Yeah.
Oh, it is 100% Christian
Yeah,
camp.
I love, that's amazing.
couple.
I don't know about any place else that does that.
And
You
so,
been there at this?
I have not, no.
so when I went to be with Wally, and I didn't even know what was there. I had no idea. I
I
just
love
went-
how God does that.
Yeah, he does, that's right. So I went to be with Wally.
Where does Wally live now?
He lives in Orlando. So this all started because he was gonna be.
You know his background, Wally Alden? He was a professional golfer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He was a tour player,
Right.
grew up in Indiana, but played at Florida. And he's got a story you'd love to hear about. He came out of school caddying for Gary Player.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Oh,
I thought he would be playing.
oh.
And eventually Gary said, you got.
Well, he played on the tour for a number of years.
Yeah, but this was before that.
Right. Well,
He like snuck in at like Preston Trey, he snuck in like the clubhouse and stuff. He was caddying for Gary.
Huh.
And he has a funny story about, it's kind of like a Bruce Lipsky thing, leaving bananas
Right.
in
Right.
Gary's bag. Gary's going, oh, Woody, oh, Woody. What happened? So I go to this, Wally and I just, it's so funny how you said how God works. Because Wally said he's gonna be here. And I said, well, I'm gonna go to the Nelson, I'm volunteering. And it's the same time, you ought to come over there. And he said he's gonna be in Eastland. Well, I thought Eastland was East Texas. And then I come to find out it's west. And so we worked it out, and I'm going, I don't really know if I want to go, but Wally's going to be there, it should be fun. So I drive, I go through Hamilton, I go through Dublin, which is where Hogan's from. There's a little museum.
That's the Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, Dr. Pepper there, and the Hogan Museum. And so anyway, I get to this Christian camp, which we've kind of all been to Christian camp, but here's this golf course.
On the camp.
And it's like, wow, this is...
I'm gonna go be a
So then-
counselor there.
Yeah, and so the next day, and they had this wonderful big, Lake Leon, it's this beautiful big lake. And so the next day, all the pastors had gone, and so we were just left there, me and Wally and one of the owners of this band that they brought in. That's a whole other story.
So is Wally involved in this camp?
Well, not officially, but he spoke. He spoke there, and I'll tell you who else spoke that night to these pastors was Robert Sloan. You know who that is?
Yeah.
So they spoke at this small
Right.
to this small group of pastors, And, but then here's this Christian band called Chosen Road from West Virginia, came all the way out to Eastland, Texas for that. So the next day,
Wow.
they were still there playing golf. And I got all this stuff going through my head, and I said, you know, somehow I've got to be involved in this. This is like, and I think that, you know, the camp directors, they see the vision too. They see how, in how this could, you know, and some of those guys there deserve credit for seeing the potential of having a camp with a golf course.
How long has the camp been there?
Well, I mean, if I would be guessing, it'd probably say like 6 years, but
Is it a successful camp?
it's, you'd have to ask the couple,
Right.
you know, but they're very, you know, I didn't get any indication like they're,
I wonder if it's on par with like Sky Ranch. Your kids go to Sky Ranch?
Yeah, we have Sky Ranch at our campus last week. My granddaughter was at Sky Ranch
Yeah,
on
my,
the campus.
yeah, my granddaughters were there last week.
you know, to be real honest, I would say it's on its way up.
Yeah,
I wouldn't endorse it like Pine Cove or anything,
yeah.
or Camp Tejas. I wouldn't, you know.
But it could get there pretty quick.
Oh, yeah. Especially if we get the golf community,
Right.
the golf community understanding. I think that, like, let's just say you took your team there, right?
Yeah.
So you'd have to explain up front, look, this isn't entry,
Right.
but we're gonna go there, we're gonna have fun, and we're gonna stay 200 yards away, and they're gonna feed us, and there's a place in town that has monster chicken fried steak, and that I missed because I left early.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're gonna kind of have run of this place, and we're just gonna enjoy ourselves.
You said it's from Dallas, it's just 60 miles the other side of Fort Worth?
Is it about 60, 65 miles?
Yeah, I think so, because the band left. The band.
I've always heard of Eastland, but I'm like you, I thought it was Eastland was in
Yeah,
East Texas.
it's west. It's west of Fort Worth. It's
Yeah, it's
in
west.
between, it's in between Abilene and Fort Worth, right?
Correct.
Is it on 20?
It's just off.
Just off 20. Just off
It's
20.
easy to get to.
And what's the name of the camp?
It's called Solid Rock.
Solid rock.
So anyway, for golfers, it's kind of like you're going, oh, this is pretty cool.
Well, Marshall, maybe we can
I'll
get your
take my
team
team over
and
there.
our team and go for, maybe get our whole district to go out there with their players and just have a good week.
We should do that.
That's what we can do.
Absolutely, we should do
A
that.
little golf retreat.
They just have to understand, it's, you know, they're going there for the
For the spiritual.
spiritual side.
And the fellowship.
The fellowship. They're not going there to play the best course they've ever played.
And my guys wouldn't have a problem with that.
Mine wouldn't even.
I don't know.
Yeah, I played it, and it's fun.
Is the course open to the public?
Yes,
Okay.
totally.
So the camp just, Solid Rock has the use of it.
Yeah, I think what it is there's
Is the camp adjacent to the golf
oh,
course?
it's right there. I mean, it's like all intermingled.
Yeah.
You're in the golf course and the camp at the same
Yeah,
time.
it's all intermingled. So this owner, Sam Harris, and Sam must have corralled a couple other men into buying into the course.
Yeah.
Because this other man was there all day saying his wife doesn't understand why he owns this golf course. I saw him several times, he kept saying, like, my wife doesn't, you know, please help us here. And so I think Sam was one of the guys that had this vision of adding the camp. Because the camp is like a 501c3, but the
Right.
golf course is not.
The golf course is a for-profit operation?
Well,
Yes.
hopefully for profit.
And they have like 50 locals that pay like $100 a month or something.
Yeah.
They have locals that come there and,
Does the camp have full-time counselors?
the camp has full-time, yes,
Does the camp operate year-round?
yes. It has full-time directors and then 2 or 3 other staff people.
So they probably have adult camps as well. other than
They-
this year. Yeah, we ought to take our teams there, Larry, just,
Yeah, I think that would be great. I'm trying to see where I'm supposed to be.
They have,
I'm supposed to be in my car out of here.
they have like two or three, they have the couple
Yeah,
from Georgia that went there.
right.
But then they have two or three other guys that are there all the time. So, yeah, it is a full-time Christian camp with a golf course.
What's the lodging like?
Well, what I stayed in
Uh-huh.
was, very nice. It was an apartment, it was like a furnished apartment
Yeah.
with a kitchen. That's what I was staying with Wally.
Yeah,
So it was very nice. And they do have bunkhouses.
yeah,
And they were telling us about the bunkhouses. Their beds are not, there's, they were explaining how they've done these bunk beds, but they've kind of done them in a pretty neat way where they're not like right on top of each other, one's off to the side, and so it's not so hard to get into or whatever, and I think like the bottom one, I know what it is, the bottom one is like a bigger size,
Huh.
and then the top one is the smaller.
Huh.
And so I think they're building it up. I don't want to
have you ever heard of it? Solid?
No, this is first I've heard of it, but I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I don't want to oversell it, but I don't know of another camp that has a golf course.
No.
That's what it is.
You know, what's interesting, that it's,